Insurance cuts ripping resources away from childcare clinics across Georgia.
This is going to be catastrophic for a lot of them.
Rental car companies using AI technology slapping drivers with massive fines for damage they say they did not cause. And new restrictions on Georgia HOAs, giving homeowners more power. When systems fail, people pay the price. We trace the damage, expose the truth, and fight to fix it. This is Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates.
Lawmakers criticizing a Georgia insurance company for funding cuts to special needs services.
Clinics across the state are no longer accepting patients who use CareSource. That's one of 3 managers of Medicaid coverage in the state. We uncover how this decision impacts the most vulnerable children.
Joanna, can you say hi?
3-year-old Joanna is learning to walk again. She has a neurological disorder called alternating hemiplegia of childhood. It means episodes of paralysis. Joanna's mom, Raquel Lopez.
She will lose one side of her body, so that hemisphere of the brain becomes depressed. Wow. And she essentially has a stroke for like 2 weeks.
The diagnosis is 1 in a million. Extraordinary, but so is Joanna's determination.
Good. This is Joanna's daily life. This is what helps her function. It helps her move around the world safely.
Raquel is crediting this facility, Tender Ones Therapy, or TOTS. The 20-year local clinic provides physical, occupational, and speech therapy services, teaching special needs children to move, eat, talk, and thrive.
Without TOTS, without her consistent, coordinated care, I don't know where we would be.
But in the coming weeks, the toddler will no longer have access to the services here at TOTS. The puzzling dilemma stems from this letter, a notice from CareSource, one of 3 companies in Georgia that handle Medicaid coverage for children like Joanna. The company telling clinics, including TOTS, they will cut reimbursement rates by 20%. For instance, a clinic that once received a Medicaid payout of $65,000 in total for all the Medicaid patients they served that year will now receive $52,000 under the new plan. Any clinic that objects to the cuts could be terminated altogether from their CareSource contract. It's what happened to TOTS. As a result, effective in August, the facility can no longer accept Joanna or other patients who use CareSource Medicaid insurance. TOTS owner, Noreen Zelenka, and Director of Patient Services, Kate Phillips.
We felt like we cannot take that reduction in reimbursement and still be able to keep our doors open to serve all the other children.
I don't know what to tell these patients, and I hate it for them. I mean, this is going to be catastrophic for a lot of them.
It comes as an Atlanta News First analysis shows 113 Georgia counties rely on special needs therapists through CareSource, meaning this change could impact at least 71% of the state's pediatric Medicaid network in some way.
It's very discouraging, and that's why you find some practices just throwing up their hands and saying, I can't do this anymore, because it's one obstacle after another.
We're going to go ahead and begin.
This week, lawmakers at a state health committee meeting agreed.
I've got no tolerance for anyone who is hurting some of our state's most vulnerable kids.
Our efforts must be to making things better for the disabled before we think about doing anything else.
For the current crisis, we ask you to help us intervene.
Lawmakers did not intervene, citing this meeting as the beginning of ongoing talks.
She knows all her therapists.
Meanwhile, parents like Raquel now joining long wait lists for other therapists who still accept CareSource insurance.
It scares us because therapy is not a luxury.
Important reporting, Sierra, of an issue that not many people know about unless they have a child who needs these services. In this situation, I can't help but want to know what, Joanna and Raquel are doing now.
At the time that we're taping this, we are in July. Come August, they will have to figure out what other services they can get. Typically, what we find happens is that you have to enter a wait list because there's just such a gap in resources across the state of Georgia, as this story has shown, that it's not as easy, like, let me go knock or call and go to the next business and join their facility. You have to join a waiting list because so many kids need help and we don't have enough resources here. It's a wait and see game and see who can take them.
Oh my goodness. Has CareSource said that they're going to do anything to help families?
You know what? In the last couple of days, we have gotten some positive information. They've sent rescission letters, which basically says, we were going to cut the rates for your clinic, and now we're no longer going to cut the rates. So that seems to be some kind of positive change. We don't know how many clinics have received that letter, but at least on the surface, it seems like they're reversing course. We're digging into that. We're working on another story.
It's hard to say that your reporting, it caused them to, rescind some of this, but I will say it's definitely had a huge impact and I believe has made some changes.
Anytime there's a lot of backlash from all aspects, of course, we've got the reporting that we've done as the media, but then you have the lawmakers. They had that state health committee where they asked so many questions. A lot of them were personally impacted, their families, their neighbors, their loved ones. And it was just a very lively debate.
Yeah.
And really people expressing their frustrations. And so I think a culmination of all of that seems to have had some kind of impact with the CareSource leadership here in Georgia.
And then outside of the lawmakers, we've got the Department of Community Health. Have they responded to the story?
The Department of Community Health, here's the thing. They just oversee what's happening. They have told lawmakers, they've told us, the media, and they've told families. CareSource is well within its right. They are administering federal funds through taxpayers, but it's still federal funds. Georgia Department of Community Health is a state agency. They can't really tell CareSource what to do. CareSource is well within its right to change its contract, whether we're in the middle of the contract, the end of the contract, the middle of the contract. DCH has been very clear. They're well within their rights and their hands are tied in this situation. So they were just kind of operating as a middleman to try to facilitate some resolution where the majority of folks could feel settled on the matter. And so they've got some oversight, but there's still some limitation when it comes to an instance like this.
I do feel like we say that often with state agencies, is it's oversight, but they don't step in and control.
Especially when federal money is involved.
Definitely. Okay, so we are looking forward to your next story and updates and hopefully some help for families across Georgia.
We are excited to bring you that reporting. Drivers hit with hefty fines, AI technology accusing them of damaging their rental cars. The simple steps you can take to avoid surprise bills, next on Uncovered.
Two women who've never met say they were both charged hundreds of dollars for damage they didn't cause to their rental cars.
In both cases, different rental companies said artificial intelligence flagged the dents and scratches. Rachel DePompa uncovers how these women ended up in the same fight and what you can do to protect yourself from a damaged dispute.
Two Jessicas.
It's Jessica Fields.
It's Jessica Pasiola.
Hundreds of miles apart. One in Georgia, the other in Pennsylvania. Both renting cars to Florida for work trips turned family vacations.
I'd rented a car at the Atlanta airport.
We rented a car, left from Orlando.
They don't know each other, but their car rentals turned into nearly identical nightmares. Both say they were billed for car damage they never caused, flagged by car rental companies using new artificial intelligence technology to find dents and scratches.
You now drive through these high-tech arches when you drop off your vehicle at some airports, including Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta. It's a drive-through inspection, snapping images of your return using high-resolution cameras. In about 5 seconds, the AI software decodes what it sees, looking for any possible damage.
Approximately 17 minutes after dropping it off, I received a notification that there was damage detected.
These are the only two AI-analyzed images she was sent. They show two tiny orange boxes indicating small dents in the hood. There are no before photos showing what the 2025 Chevy Tahoe looked like when she picked it up.
We weren't involved in any accidents or any mishaps on the road, so really just confused about what I was being charged $350 for.
$160 for the 2 dents and $190 in administrative fees.
They need to review their policy on how to dispute these AI damages because we know AI makes mistakes.
For 10 months, Fields says she called, sat on hold, and emailed Hertz over and over. Same story, different car rental company for Jessica Pasiola in Pennsylvania.
I was so mad. I called my husband.
Her bill for alleged scratches to the front bumper, more than $1,500.
You would think for $1,500 you would have noticed some kind of damage.
She rented a Buick Envision in Florida from luxury rental car company Sixt.
So these are the photos that they sent.
They show large orange boxes around the front bumpers, but she doesn't know where to look for the damage. She too has spent months on the phone trying to talk to anyone at Sixt.
If you're gonna send me a $1,500 bill, can I see a picture of the damage? An actual real-life human picture?
Both women say the AI images raised more questions than answers, so we took their cases to the Consumer Federation of America.
We don't know how accurate they are.
Ben Winter says even simple things can trick the cameras.
If there's a little bit of dirt, or if it had just recently rained and there's a water droplet that's still on the car when you pull through, that might sort of trigger as a piece of damage.
Pasiola's bill is now gone. After we reached out to Sixt, the company blamed a routing error and told her it was closing her claim as a, quote, goodwill resolution. Hertz also closed Jessica Fields' claim and told us we continue to enhance our digital vehicle inspection experience. Now, hundreds of miles apart, both Jessicas have their resolution. Cases closed, nothing owed, but they still warn drivers to keep an eye out next time you rent a car.
When you rent, ask how damage is documented, save your paperwork, and take time-stamped photos and videos in well-lit areas at pickup and drop-off.
HOAs are getting new oversight in Georgia. Next, how the new law holds boards accountable and what homeowners should start documenting now.
Homeowners across Georgia are asking questions as major changes come to their homeowners associations.
It comes after months of public pressure sparked by our series HOA Nightmares. Atlanta News First Investigates is uncovering what changes you need to know about and when they take effect.
That is crazy, and we're paying for this.
Homeowners in Stockbridge, Georgia are taking matters into their own hands.
We have to keep the board accountable because this is our property, this is our money, this is our investment.
Dozens of homeowners gathering in the parking lot of the Monarch Village Clubhouse to learn about their rights under a new HOA law in Georgia.
It holds them accountable, and that's what the HOA boards of directors was not being held accountable.
This is the worst run HOA that I've ever witnessed.
Several homeowners expressing concerns with the HOA's power.
The president treats the homeowners, myself and all the homeowners, as if we're renters and he's our landlord.
The stuff that he's doing here, he's a dictator. He's just like, it is his way or the highway.
Homeowners tell Atlanta News First Investigates they don't see the value for what they're paying in HOA dues.
I'm all about my money, and if you're taking my money and not giving me anything for it, I have a problem with that.
Atlanta News First Investigates spoke with the HOA president over the phone.
There's nothing that we do is wrong. Everything is backed by our coverage.
He disputed the claims, stating there are nearly 900 homes in the community and 40 homeowners don't speak for the majority.
For the residents that have told me that they feel like you're a dictator, you would say?
The only reason they say that because I talk the most at our meeting. That's because based upon our covenants, subject 312 and 316, we can look up in our covenants. The president is the one to preside over the meeting.
But it's not just one neighborhood. We found complaints like these playing out across Georgia for years. Now, there's a new state law aimed at adding accountability. Georgia lawmakers credit Atlanta News First Investigates for helping pass HOA oversight legislation. Jeff Ledford with the Georgia Association of Realtors helped write it.
I mean, these are millions of people who have been in these communities operating under these tiny, like small governments without universal laws in the state of Georgia that oversee what goes on.
One of the biggest issues really is the transparency. You're right. These are, I'll refer to them as like quasi-governmental entities.
Senate Bill 406 takes effect in 2 phases. Starting July 1st, HOAs can no longer charge attorney's fees without prior written notice and an itemized list of what they're claiming. The bigger changes come January 1st, 2027. HOAs that want to issue fines, liens, or foreclosure notices must register with the Georgia Secretary of State and provide governing documents as well as 3 years of financial records. And for the first time, there's somewhere homeowners can file a complaint.
This gives you one place you can go so the Secretary of State's office can assign a referee. They can then, essentially, it's like you're going to an arbiter to say, what does it look like we have here?
The law also doubles the foreclosure threshold from $2,000 to $4,000 in unpaid dues. HOAs can no longer use fines alone to trigger a foreclosure.
Tell a neighbor to tell a neighbor to tell a neighbor, get involved in your HOA.
You know your rights, you know how to fight for yourself.
Anastasia, the big question here, naturally people are going to be like, why isn't this happening immediately? Why is it happening in phases?
Essentially what happened is when the House got the bill, they were, amending it, making changes, and so they added another bill under it. And that bill that they added addressed attorney's fees. And so that's why it has a different date. Essentially, it's only affecting attorney's fees and giving notice, things that the stories mentioned. And then the whole big HOA oversight bill will come in 2027. And the purpose for that is because the Secretary of State has to create some sort of office that can not only records keep, hold HOAs accountable for registering, handle that money, keep the records, but also take complaints and then have some sort of what they call a referee, take those complaints, address them, schedule meetings, hearings. That's going to take some time, especially because we're in an election year and we're going to have a new Secretary of State.
Let's talk about the application of the law, the attorney's fees. Does that apply to every case, old and new, or just the ones moving forward?
There are so many people asking the same question across the state of Georgia. Laws often are not retroactive, so the day that they go into effect is the day that they start. So unfortunately, people who have been in these battles, the law does state that you have about 6 months from when the incident occurs. What I'm telling people to do is just start documenting everything. When the Secretary of State's office opens where you can file complaints, file it. And a lot of people have been having these issues for years, but when you file it, let them decide if this law is going to apply.
Yeah, oftentimes it's figured out in court. It'll be up to the attorney to raise that issue to the judge and for the judge to weigh in and say, well, this is what the law said at the time you filed the case, and this is what I'm going to apply to your actual resolution.
And already, I will say that we have learned that when these cases go to court, the judge is going to look at these fees and determine, are they reasonable? So I have seen a $700 fine for faded shutters. Is that reasonable? Is it reasonable that a homeowner is stuck with $30,000 in attorney's fees over a trash can? The judge can decide that. So if you can't afford to take your case to court, this may also apply.
How do the new foreclosure limits change the risk for homeowners?
It's only doubling from $2,000 to $4,000. But the biggest change and caveat there is that it can no longer be late fees, attorney's fees, interest, none of that. It can only be for past dues. So essentially your HOA, if whatever's going on in the community, they cannot fine you in order to place a lien on your home to just get to $2,000 and then file to start a foreclosure process on your home. Not allowed. If you are not paying your dues to be part of your HOA, then if that reaches $4,000, they can file to foreclose. The other part of that is that if you haven't paid anything in a year and that has reached $2,000, then they can file that foreclosure. Just because it says that you're not participating.
The change has got to start somewhere, and I know a lot of people are happy now that this new law is starting to be in effect. Thanks so much, Stassi.
You can listen to all of our extended conversations on these stories right now on our podcast, Behind the Investigation. Just search Atlanta News First on your favorite podcast platform. You're watching Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates, a weekly hour-long investigative show with new episodes launching every Sunday at 7.